Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome. Hello. Over here on the left, on your left, my right, is Melissa. Say hello, Melissa.
Hello, Melissa.
And over here on my right, your left, is Loren Bouchard.
Hello, Lulu.
And I'm Brendon Small. Welcome to the commentary for season 2 of the home.
Season 2.
Can't believe who'd have thought we got this far. So
what episode are we watching, Brendon?
This is Identifying a Body, which is I think this whole idea of this episode came up with me and Bill Broaddus would always sit down at Pete's Coffee in Harvard Square and
nice
try
plug
and
for Pete's.
Yeah, little Pete's plug. I'm getting some free T-shirts. But we would sit down and rack our brains and drink about 1,000 gallons of coffee, and then in this kind of mania / hysteria start coming up with episodes. And one of the ones I think Bill came up with an episode where it was just the idea of McGirt coming up and going like, "Who wants to come with me and identify a body?" And that was the whole premise of this episode.
I like this plot too, though, the walkathon where Brendon collects money and then ends up spending it all.
Which is something that happened to me, except
Me
for so I think a lot of people did that. Or I remember being in the Cub Scouts. I never made it to Boy Scouts. I'm in the Man Scouts now. That's a different story though. But I remember getting a lot of people to agree to give me money if I were to go on this walkathon and sleeping through it. That's what it was.
Oh, that's
He
right.
sleeps through it.
That's right.
And that happened
And
to
that
me.
actually happened
That
to
actually
you.
happened to me. Yeah.
I had a UNICEF collection thing where you go and get like nickels and dimes. It was back when that was a lot of money. And
When were nickels and dimes ever a lot of money?
in the early
Lauren grew up in the
70s,
1800s.
Yeah.
and I don't think it made it into the
No. So you got nickels and dimes and spent
nickels
it
and
all.
dimes on like a little
Right.
cardboard.
And bought yourself an ice cream.
Right.
Here, get yourself a haircut.
That was back
Yes.
when an ice cream cost a nickel.
Oh yeah, and a telephone call wasn't free, and okay, but okay, so
So Brendon's collecting money.
he's collecting money.
Let's recognize Janine here.
There's Janine DiTilio, the
Yes.
lovely and talented.
Well, there's Paula, the character.
Paula, the
played
character.
by
Yes.
Janine
DiTilio.
The lovely and
And I think you know what I think we kept babbling about this in the first season, but I know that the theme song is recorded differently for the second season.
That's right.
That is the one where there's you can hear violin stings and a sitar. I went there and
Really?
I went and bought
right.
like a 3/4 violin somewhere. I think in like Cambridge Music or something, like in
Another plug.
yeah, another Cambridge plug, whatever. Yeah, but I got like a 3/4 violin.
Love that shot. The old
Especially
Sard
what people don't know is that we're watching this on a gigantic screen, and the only way we can handle this probably is because it's not squiggling, which is the
Oh
first
yeah,
thing
let's
you should
talk
know.
about
Yeah.
that.
So
Is this the first season?
this is the
that it wasn't
first.
squiggling?
There's one episode previous to this, the politics episode.
That's the first season.
This is the
First
first
season.
season where it's not
That's a
squiggling.
big
Right.
difference.
It is a big deal.
Yeah,
This is the
so-
beginning of kind of the new era for home movies that lasted for the next, obviously, till the
And
third and fourth season too.
yes, and the fifth, which is in production right now in my brain. I've written 47 episodes.
Done in Flash.
Yeah, done in Flash.
Entirely
and-
in Flash.
But it's a minimalistic, but I think it works. I mean, first for me, it does a great deal. And I think Squigglevision for me was always like Dr. Katz.
Great shot there. So funny. This is such a great
This
sequence.
was our
Oh,
own
right,
look.
yeah. This is the.
Get the bagels, but that's it.
I'm getting the bagels, but that's it.
This is when we discovered to go faster.
Yeah, we discovered.
Yeah.
That was the thing. I think there was a conscious effort between season 1, the whole season 1 and season 2, was to go a little bit faster.
Yeah. That looks like the restaurant where Coach and
And
Paula
Paula,
Paula
man, yeah,
dinner
it's
in
the
It
same
is.
burgundy tones.
But
Yeah.
they would have had to redo the entire thing, of course.
Oh,
because
this is okay. This is a kind of
background.
this is a monumental scene for Walter and Perry. I remember we hadn't really discovered Walter
That's cool.
or I had Kid 1 and Kid 2 written for this. I was like, I'm cold, I'm freezing, and the animators jumped ahead and found these two characters from episode 3, The Art of the Sucker Punch,
Right.
and plugged them in. And then this whole life from this scene was kind of born. So I think it was from right here with this kind of like them hugging each other in the high. We hadn't really discovered what they were going to
That's
sound
a
like or
funny little
anything.
visual joke there. The basketball net on the trash can.
Yes.
That's like an organ, or they toss the bloody organs.
Right. But that was the birth of Walter and
That
Perry
was?
to a degree. Even though they had appeared as like two characters, they
That's when-
had not been called Walter or Perry.
That's when we found out how annoying they could be.
Oh, no, they
and
might have been.
wonderful.
They might have been called Walter and Perry in the first thing, but I don't think we discovered that there was going to be an arc in their own life until this is McGurk's relative. That's a great. He doesn't know who he is.
So
Oh, this ends so badly with the sausage thing. I forgot.
Don't give it away.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, I mean, it was my idea and it was bad.
People who are real fans will
So-
know that sometimes Walter and Perry, you guys switch voices
Yes,
because the
well-
animators couldn't always tell who was who.
Right.
Right,
Well, also,
exactly.
John and Brendon couldn't remember.
Would forget who they
was
were. Yeah.
I remember
John
the only way that
John
we
remembered
remember
it by saying the name of the other character.
He'd always go, Perry, Perry, Perry. Yes, Walter. And like, I don't think I ever used his name, so he had to call me Perry first in order for
So
me
he
to
would
know who I
know,
was.
and he would know he was
Yeah.
Walter.
Yes.
This is a nice shot too.
Yeah,
This is a
that's
nice.
really
So
cute.
cute.
Yeah.
I remember that Brendon's little nose. pointing out.
And they're talking about life. Yeah.
A nice
Oh, can I-
Kirk Brendon
Yeah.
sort of plot here, where they kind of, they're buddies.
So anyway, so this is the car scene. It was funny. Me and Bill like had this fantasy of having this one scene when they're at the lawyers, when McGurk is like asking, the lawyer's asking McGurk like, who is this? Who is this?
kid.
Is this your son? And then McGurk would like laugh like, of course. Are you kidding me? No, this is my kid. My friend.
Right.
We thought that would be the
I thought
funniest.
that was in there.
I don't think that is in there.
I
think
remember
there's
recording it.
something. Yeah, I think we tried that. It just was too on the nose. It was too like subtext on the nose. So it's way better to not ever say that.
There's a lot of I don't know if we did it too much in the first scene. That last scene in the movie theater did they have that shadow on them, like that lighting effect? I feel like this season
Looks
not
like-
only did we switch over to Flash, but the animators really started getting into like effects.
Mm-hmm.
This is
Yeah,
when
and
we started
color
to
and, like-
see shading and
Right.
light. Like
They had
some
done their own kind
special
of rack
scenes.
focusing and stuff like that, and they figured out like I remember that kind of like handheld feel that like
Yes.
just kind of moving the frame around a lot. That was very cool.
It's really nice.
This is Ron Lynch, of course, as Mr. Lynch.
Yeah.
Ron Lynch.
Another in the long line of us not giving creative names to our
I don't
characters.
know. I don't know if you guys talked about it in the first season, how Mr. Lynch got his look.
No, I wonder if I think we did.
I think we did. I think we brought it up that
Yes.
John Benjamin through improv gave him
Described
this
how
kind of
he
pencil
looked.
like a child
Much
molester
to
kind
Ron
of like
Lynch's
vibe.
dismay.
Yes, Ron Lynch knew it
Yeah.
as it was happening that he was getting sentenced to a mustache.
Can I say one other
Pencil
thing
thin
about like
mustache.
the overview of like the second season? It's kind of funny because I think of TV as this big temp job where you never know when your next day is your last, kind of a thing. You could be working for one day and like, oh, we've had enough of you, But so we finished a whole season of 13 already at this point, and I guess the challenge is at this point for all of us is how do you make this into a show with longevity and continue it moving. And what we had done, that was my stomach, by the way.
Yeah, I heard that.
I didn't mean to shoot your dirty look. I just
And,
wasn't sure what was
I
happening.
thought that was a sexy look you shot me.
Oh,
Wow.
I gotta work on my dirty look.
Yeah,
Well, I
you're
remember
working.
this was Paul is in the movie with him.
That's right. But I think where we had left that previous season was the notion of the father being in his life.
Mm-hmm.
And so what we did was we're like, do we just get back on track with the father? And then we said, no, let's just have the show kind of like breathe for a couple of episodes. And then we introduced the father. And the whole second season, I think it ended up becoming this, and also was kind of part of the story was that it's the father kind of like saying hello and goodbye at the same time and kind of introducing this new family, and it ends with his whole wedding thing and kind of basically says, I might be in your life, or I'm just coming in to say what Brendon thinks is coming back into his life. But what ends up happening is he's kind of like saying goodbye to this life and moving on to his next one, which is a very dark theme, and that's just kind of like the darker second act kind of home movies.
Yeah.
But I don't think of that stuff as dark. I think of it as kind of cool motivation for a comedy,
It was really interesting that this time you figured out like season arc things way
Yeah.
before anybody else did. I mean, we in the world of Dr. Katz and the shows that came before this, I think really didn't think about that. We didn't give seasons arcs, and we didn't develop characters very much, except for a very organic, kind of slow-moving development. And it was really interesting at this time when you brought up the idea of kind of having some stuff in there that spreads out over these 13 episodes and has kind of some body to it. It was hard for us to even comprehend it at first.
Really?
I think for a lot of us, and.
That's fair enough,
But it's
though, yeah.
really good that you did, I think, and you did. It's nice that you introduced it, but we still, I think, kept the show loose and fun, and it just added a lot of depth to it. I think it was a great
Right.
thing, but it was really a cultural clash at first because we were like, what?
Right, yeah. I know, yeah.
Wait, you're thinking
No, I
about
think
the next
everybody
one?
was.
You can do that?
Well, I think yeah, right. I mean, to take a story that here's Lindenson too. The introduction of Lindenson.
Andy Kindler.
Played by the wonderful Andy
And the
Kindler.
wonderful and hilarious Andy Kindler, who
This whole
plays.
scene is crazy.
I want to say something about his performance too.
This is just the
If you
weirdest.
think that he's just yelling loudly, then you're not listening hard enough.
Right. Yeah.
He's one of the funniest guys.
He's probably
in the world.
probably the most talented stand-up and the funniest guy. Never not funny kind of a person.
For those of you who didn't get Arnold Lindenson, the character, go back and listen to him yelling
Yeah,
again.
Yeah.
and be
Hear-
influenced by the fact that
Well,
we
you know what?
think
Here's-
he's funny.
Here's one thing about like Lindenson that I've heard from the few fans that I've encountered is that they don't like him because he's a jerk. And that means he's done his job.
Right.
Because
That's
that's
called being a
it's
good
almost like
actor.
I hate that Darth Vader guy. He's such a. Why would I ever want to hang out with him? Of course, yes. Because not to compare myself to whatever, but no, I think that's exactly. He just hit the nail on the head, and I'm so glad that he's in there because I
Yeah.
think. If you just have a bunch of nice people like smiling at each other in a show, then
It's no
it
fun.
adds for the most boring
Yes.
kind of TV in the world, and this kind of is it was just fun to play around with him. And
He's also one of the most musical voiceover performers that we've worked with.
Yes.
Like when he says a line, he
sings
may or may
it.
not be saying it sort of loudly. He's singing it,
Mm-hmm.
and it is.
there's
it is-
vibrato,
yes.
there's timbre, and
It's hilarious.
That's
that
so
is hilarious.
weird.
Yeah, McGurk flapping around.
Law offices.
So this is
Those
also
are,
Bill.
those are last names of animators.
That's right. Yes.
a
And this
tidbit.
is
Yeah.
Bill Broadus as the lawyer.
Bill.
Bill.
Broadus.
Yes. So anyway, so just like as this is the first commentary
Oh,
track.
this is the scene. He did laugh when he said, "This is your son."
Not this guy.
Let's hear what he says.
This was my son. I'd kill myself.
See, we went for the joke instead. I mean the extra.
Okay then. Okay. All right. So let's get this started.
So there's
It
the,
is
you
the
know
raw.
Hey, look, I need the money. Well,
Hey, let's take a moment to recognize the guy who's not here in the room with us, which is John Benjamin.
right exactly.
This
Don't make it sound like something terrible happened.
it's
John Benjamin
something terrible did
had
happen.
terrible plastic surgery. This is serious, actually. He, for those of you guys who are listening, the truth that John Benjamin is not here is that he went under the knife for like a rudiment. I won't say what it is, but he wanted to have something adjusted, and he could not make it here, which is it's kind of sad, but it's also funny if you know Benjamin at all. You know what I mean? It's just you think that he's not a vain guy, but at the end of the day, he kind of is, I guess.
Oh, the sausage.
The sausage. This is a.
I think the nice thing about John not being here, I said this last night, is that we can praise him. And
Yes.
it's
Right,
not-
which
exactly.
he won't let you do in front of him.
It's
So
fun.
go
Yeah,
ahead,
you know what?
Loren.
You're right. It's true.
Sausage. That's what
So
you
let's take a little moment to remember
Let's
what
each
John
say
Benjamin gave us.
Let's each say something we like and dislike to keep it fair about John Benjamin.
Take a look at
Wait a minute. This is kind of the recurrence of
Oh,
Oh,
Ken
that
Adelberg.
guy.
There was this time when I come up with this voice,
Everyone,
and
Ken Adelberg
I
here.
realized that it sounds funny because you cannot understand what he is saying to you.
I think most of the voices, I feel like a lot of the voices of the extra characters started with you calling me
Right.
and
yeah.
doing the voice.
Right. They're all like kind of there, but all the characters I do are like different forms of unintelligible. Like Dwayne's like like just that kind of like angry teenage, and like Ken Adelberg is.
Look at the wall, the poster. on the
Who's
wall.
the poster?
I don't know. It's weird. It looks like Melissa.
Huh?
Looks like the character, Melissa. Duncan.
Oh, kinda
Oh
Duncan.
no, it's because the basketball. I see.
There's probably some story there that hopefully the animators will cover. in
I
their
like that
commentary.
his hand is bandaged, but he's drumming
still
his fingers
move
on
it.
the desk and he's moving
Yeah.
his fingers. It's funny.
We just got off topic. What were we just talking about?
About Ken,
Oh,
you
Benjamin.
calling, Benjamin.
Oh right, yeah. No, the funniest thing about Benjamin is oh, this is also
That's
Andy Kindler
too.
right there. Yes,
As
and
for
he does
Langley.
mention this in his.
really?
We'll see if it gets through, but yeah.
Hey, you.
Hi there.
You're on my corner. This is
There's
my
it's Andy Kindler.
Oh no.
Can you believe it?
Not yelling.
Not yelling, being very quiet, and just a character.
Doing your voice,
actor.
no less.
Benjamin, like when scripts would be given out, they'd be given out what 2 days, 3 days before the record.
Yes.
And then traditionally, what happens is nobody reads them. Like if even like me and Bill, like we won't read each other's. Like we'll go in and Yeah, Bill Broadus, of course,
But-
who was the
but we would all
other
do-
writer on Home Movies, who's
we would
not
all
here
do
either.
a table read
Right.
once
Yes.
before.
We do a table read, so we all knew. I mean, it's hard
But
for
not John.
It was
We-
hard for
not
me
including
to not
John.
know what the episode was about that I wrote, but Bill's episode would also be read at the table, and yeah, and John Benjamin would never be there because he, it was just like we were just figuring it out for ourselves. It was kind of a first draft, and so he would show up not knowing where the episode is going, and ultimately beating us to the punch of the episode. So I think that might be one of the reasons that this ended with this really weird sausage show, because there's no way he could have gotten to that. And if he had, I would have quit show business. Not that I'm technically,
usually-
not that cartoons are technically show business in any way, shape, or form.
Usually within the first scene, we
Yes.
would have to say to him, "No, you just gave away the end."
You just gave away the entire,
the first 5
seasonal arc.
minutes, yeah.
You just gave away season 4, but he also, there was kind of a rule that me and Bill Broadus, the other writer, who's not here either, also having plastic surgery.
They're switching parts, I think.
Yes, yes, they are. They switched, a very important part, and we kind of there was a dialogue rule. I think everyone kind of discovered it, that if it's more than 2 inches long, the dialogue, Melissa,
Okay.
and there's the gnome.
The gnome just fell over.
Yeah.
Hey, a movie.
Oh, this is a kind of a funny one, but the not the priest, the
It's the
rabbi.
first time we're seeing Jason in this episode.
Oh yeah.
Is him being crushed by a wall slowly, which is the
That's
metaphor
right.
for the walkathon in some ways. We're really loose with with themes.
Oh
You know-
right, he's not really a priest. His other clothes are in the laundry. Is that the joke?
yeah,
you
yeah,
got?
he's- yeah.
Oh, no.
It's a funny one.
Last right.
Then he says that thing about what is it?
Since always.
There's a funny line about
No, it's really not necessary.
Please, let me just.
Well, anything you could spare the church would be greatly appreciated.
That wasn't too tough.
Is there anything, my son, that you would like to confess?
I know we're listening to it.
I know. I
now.
was just gonna say, are we
It's
supposed to just
I know
watch
we
it?
just turned into this.
No, you're
alright.
allowed to.
There's some
The
funny.
audience can
I
feel
remember
like
it was
we're watching
it was kind of
with
fun.
them.
See, I think this is one of those scenes that I really liked about the whole idea of home movies, which is that it can turn into a sketch, at the drop of a hat, and it can just it's a movie, but it's also this is kind of a written out, almost
Yeah.
traditional sketch,
Yeah.
where it's kind of fast paced and it's just silliness and it's big and weird,
Yeah.
but dialogue driven ultimately, even though you do have to have a fake wall crushing it.
And they do a nice Dutch angle.
Yeah. Right. So the 2-inch rule is, on dialogue meant that you're never gonna get to the end of that dialogue, because on some days the best dialogue reader in the world, and the other days just not getting past the first sentence.
Actually,
He's doing a rewrite.
He's doing a rewrite, but he also does a fantastic rewrite because I think we said this before. The day of is kind of the final
look, buddy.
rewrite.
Yeah. So
on
we give
all.
him an extra $25 every time.
Yeah.
That's our incentive for
Yes.
doing improv. Is you get
You do get
$25
$25 if
for
you.
any improv that makes it into the episode.
At the end of the day, if you get it in, $25.
Yes.
To you.
Crisp 20.
Here's the other part of
a
season
couple of
2.
ones.
The other part of season 2 that was kind of a little bit darker is that Paula's going to lose her job
That's
and be
right.
completely
Yeah.
unemployed and start drinking a lot.
Yeah.
Which is that was a big deal, and we were like, oh.
Which
how-
was not at all, we should say, based on anything that you may have heard about in the news regarding any actress who might have formerly played
That's
this
actually
part.
that's absolutely true.
Completely
It was
before
this
that
was
happened.
before
Yes,
we.
It was a strange
it was-
coincidence.
It was an idea that we had I think we identified more than any celebrities. I think
was about our drinking.
Our drinking, yes.
Yes.
But
Which we still passionately involved.
yes, it's very
It's
important.
a cause close to our hearts.
Yes. But that is it's good that you mentioned it because it is very true, and it has nothing to do with Paula Poundstone at all.
Who?
I know, but still, they're not gonna put 2 and 2 together. Why can't we say that?
I like the fact that it is an arc and she does start drinking, but we never let her be a character that, she still maintains a sort of dignity in her.
Yeah, it's not actually ruining.
There were a couple
It's
times.
like Bill Broadus has a great joke about what's wrong with being a functioning alcoholic. Isn't that what we're all trying to be?
Yeah, right. It is a-
It's a really funny joke, but that's the way that Paula is that she's actually she is kind of I think her alcoholism is kind of contained and is not hurting Brendon. There is one point where he drags out a big. Oh, that's later on in the.
I think it's hospital food.
I think it's
It's
hospital.
hospital food.
That's really funny.
Sleeping with the gnome.
Yes.
The note.
Oh, this is when he wakes up late for the walkathon, which
Oh,
is
look at how she
this
did
reminds
the
me very
eggs.
much of like me looking at my clock and missing the entire walkathon.
It also reminds me of one of the first tests we ever did with you and Holly Kretschmar.
I remember
She
that.
was
Yeah.
saying, Brendon, time to wake up.
I missed the walkathon!
No good little.
Oh, that's right.
Don Skipper, son of a gun, that little
I feel-
redhead smart
I feel like there was a big argument about the phone being in bed with him.
Oh,
I kind of remember.
that's sort of
That's the kind of argument that yeah.
Do you remember that at all?
that's a producer type argument.
Oh.
No, I'm
No, that could be an argument on any. So now he's got all this money, and
Don't exactly answer right now, but I
Oh, no,
have
he's-
a little proposition.
What
I
was
don't
that?
remember.
The,
There was a whole kitchen subplot about
yeah,
fixing the kitchen.
so he'll help
This
fix the
episode?
kitchen.
I believe so. I think the kitchen's always been a problem, and like
Oh,
the
he doesn't really have no legs.
and not only that, he's Tony Hawk. So here's a song.
one of the weirdest endings
Yeah, exactly.
ever
Sometimes you just gotta wrap it up and
in
get out of there.
history.
I love how it's so green.
We should have just like had just credits over this and never ended
I
it.
want a
You're right.
T-shirt of this.
It's so funny. Like the other thing about TV, I think, is that it's happening very fast.
God.
TV's happening so fast that there's no way to go back and fix your mistakes. Like you have to kind of get it out there and do it.
Save some for me.
It makes no sense.
Love it. Okay, let's see who's doing what on this.
Bonnie Burns, Mary Catherine Tucker, Khaki
I was
Jones, of course.
producing. You were directing. You wrote it. You were in
I
it.
played myself, Andy Kindler, Rutland,
Additional material.
director of audio.
Patrick and Jack.
Yes, Idis
George.
Chris was there.
Chris Georginas was
Chris
there.
Idis was
Georginas.
a great guy too. I don't think we mentioned him last season, but he was
That's right.
he was a bigger presence on this one.
That's right. Whenever it was that he came in, you know it because that's when it started sounding good.
Yeah, really starting out. He was great.
Yeah.